Does your job feel less like a career and more like a reoccurring nightmare? If so, you need to wake up. And you're not going to want to skip a single second of this, because we're about to walk through the unofficial playbook for taking back control of your work and your life.
Okay, let's just kick things off with a number that should honestly shock you. 75%. According to Gallup, a massive 75% of people who quit their jobs aren't actually leaving the company. They're leaving their boss. Think about that. 3 out of every 4 people heading for the exit are running away from one person.
And look, this goes way beyond just getting the Sunday scaries. The real cost of a toxic boss is paid with your health. We're talking about very real, very physical consequences. Anxiety, depression, terrible sleep. This stuff literally gets under your skin and follows you home. It's not just business, it's personal.
But here's the thing, and I really want you to hear this. You are not helpless. You don't have to just sit there and take it. There is a strategy, a literal playbook you can follow to protect yourself and get back in the driver's seat of your career. So let's walk through it, step by step.
Here's the whole game plan. We're going to start with defense. That's all about understanding what you're up against and protecting your own mental space. Then we shift into proactive moves, setting boundaries and actually managing the situation. And finally, we get to the power plays, building your case, using the formal systems, and, if you have to, planning a strategic escape.
All right, let's dive into that first phase, your defense. Before you can even think about changing things, you have to build a fortress around your own sanity. These first 2 steps are all about protecting your energy and giving yourself room to breathe.
First things first, you have to know who you're dealing with. Is your boss just difficult, or are they genuinely toxic? A difficult boss can actually be good for you. They have high standards, they're demanding. But a toxic boss, they bully, they humiliate, they micromanage you into the ground. Knowing which one you have is absolutely critical.
Now for your primary defensive tool. It's called the gray rock method. And the idea is as simple as it is brilliant. You make yourself as boring and uninteresting as a plain old gray rock. See, toxic people, they feed on drama and emotional reactions. When you give them absolutely nothing to work with, they lose interest and go looking for their fix somewhere else.
So how do you actually do this? Well, you keep your emotions completely neutral. Your answers to their questions? Short, factual, impersonal. No juicy personal details, no strong opinions, and when they try to drag you into drama, you just physically remove yourself. Oh, sorry, I gotta go work on that report. You basically become a conversational black hole.
Okay, once you've got your defenses up and solid, it is time to flip the script. We're shifting from just reacting to their nonsense to proactively managing the entire situation. This is where you start to take your power back.
This brings us to a tactic that might sound a little weird at first. It's called managing up. Now, this is not about fixing your boss or making excuses for them. Nope. This is a purely strategic move for your benefit. A lot of toxic micromanaging comes from the boss's own insecurity. So by over-communicating and getting ahead of their questions, you lower their anxiety, which in turn can get them off your back.
Next, you absolutely have to set firm boundaries. When they try to dump another project on your already full plate, you don't just say no, you use a professional script, just like this one. It's polite, but it also creates a hard stop and forces them to acknowledge reality. See what that does? It puts the ball right back in their court.
Same thing goes for your personal time. If your boss thinks you're on call 24/7, you have to reset that expectation. A clear, simple statement like this isn't rude. It's a vital act of self-preservation. You are, in effect, teaching them how you expect to be treated.
Okay, now we're moving into a much more serious phase of this playbook. When just offending and being proactive isn't cutting it, you have to start thinking like a lawyer. It's time to build your case.
Listen closely, because this might be the single most important rule. If it is not written down, it can be denied, period. Every weird verbal request, every inappropriate comment, every last-minute demand, you follow it up with a quick, polite email summarizing what was just said. This creates an undeniable time-stamped paper trail. And that brings us to the ultimate power play. When the behavior crosses a line and becomes completely intolerable, it's time to use the system that's designed to protect you, a formal written complaint. This is the move that legally forces human resources to get involved. And here's what gives your complaint real teeth.
It's your legal shield. If the toxic behavior is linked to any of these legally protected categories, like your age, gender, race, or a disability, your complaint suddenly carries massive legal weight. It's not just a bad boss anymore, it's potential discrimination, and that's something companies cannot ignore.
So here's exactly how you do it. Your complaint has to be all facts, no emotion. Start with a clear subject line. State what happened, when it happened, who was there, and this is the key. If you can, link the behavior to one of those protected reasons. When you finish by requesting an investigation and protection from retaliation, you trigger a legal duty for the company to act. They have to.
But you know, sometimes, after all of this, you realize the problem isn't just one person. And that's when we get to the final step in the playbook, planning your strategic exit. Because sometimes, the only way to truly win is to leave the game entirely. But you do it on your terms. You have to ask yourself this question. If you look around and see constant drama, high turnover, and widespread burnout, the problem probably isn't just your boss. It might be the whole system. And when the culture itself is the problem, saving yourself is the only rational move left.
And if you decide to leave, don't just storm out. Use a plan. Get your finances in order, build up a safety net so you're not stressed. Quietly start your job search while you're still employed. And when you finally resign, do it like a pro. This isn't about an emotional escape. It's about a controlled, powerful transition into something better.
Let's end on this fundamental truth, one we so often get backwards. A job is a tool. It's supposed to support your life, your goals, your well-being. It should never, ever be the thing that compromises it.
Which brings us to the final and maybe the most important question. Your job is a business transaction, not a life sentence. You trade your time and your skills for money. So the ultimate question you have to ask yourself is this: what is your well-being worth?